Review podcast review.
Oh, I didn't get these, Brie. Hang on 1 second.
What did you not get?
Where are they?
He would choose to do something last minute like this. Oh, I know exactly what he's doing. He's coming in with he can't read his own notes glasses.
Name's Mike. Name's Mike.
Nice.
Brie, what movie are we reviewing today? I can't read my notes. BT Duck.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, it's another Halloween one, and you guessed it. We're back here for Halloween 5.
The Revenge of Michael Myers. Not Mike, just Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Not the other character who wears these types of glasses. For those not watching our video modem, I put on the Vibe glasses, the circular sunglasses that the character Mike wears in Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers.
And you
I'll keep them on for as long as possible before we actually get into it, and I can take some notes, or read my notes, sorry. But yeah, subtitle, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Last one was The Return of Michael Myers. This is The Revenge.
Now he's seeking revenge. And you might, if you're watching...
Revenge on who?
Revenge on everybody. I don't know why he's seeking revenge, as he is the main aggressor of the entire series of movies. Like, he's the aggressor. You would think the revenge of like
the Sith.
Yeah. Okay. So as you might see, if you are one of our people who's watching at YouTube, there's a Brie's treat on the table. This one I made for you. And we're kind of like spoiling a little part of the movie, just a teens.
Are we?
Just a teens. So I'm gonna pick the one that I think is the better one.
Try to get it close to the camera there.
So we got
camera A.
We got our little guy here, and he's been impaled.
It's a little Rice Krispie guy on a fork.
And this is super easy to make. So you're going to make Rice Krispies. And my advice for making the best Rice Krispie is look up the Rice Krispie recipe on the back of the box of Rice Krispies, but double the butter.
Oh, interesting.
Double the butter.
Huh?
It makes it easier to like form into things and stickier.
Oh, wow. Yeah, okay. I was wondering how you did that. I thought you just took a Rice Krispie treat and just like mushed it into a ball.
And then what I used is, this is a vanilla Tootsie Roll. That I rounded to make the eyeball.
That's what that is?
Yeah, it's a vanilla Tootsie Roll.
I thought that was frosting or icing.
And then I used the black icing to make like the little pupil and the mouth and nose, and then red frosting to do the mouth and the blood dripping down. And then I just stuck it upside down in a fork. Easy to
nom nom nom.
Nom nom nom. I'm not gonna eat it on the mic because I would blow everyone away.
Yeah.
But super easy, super fun treat. Like, this is something I would make for a Halloween party. Like, these are super fun.
Yeah, they look nice too.
These have
put it upside down. There it is.
These have been sitting in the fridge.
Yeah, we were gonna record a little unveiling of the curtain, so to speak. Sorry. Unveiling of the curtains, so to speak. We record these episodes like well in advance to when we release them. So we've just been burning through these Halloween movies and then just going in recording the podcast. So yesterday we watched Halloween 5, and we're coming into the studio, the little game room that we have to record a pod. And then for whatever reason, our audio decides not to work, so we can't record. And I tried, for like an hour and a half almost, trying to fix the audio, and I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, and I'm back at work now, so I couldn't stay up for him to fix it, because he ended up fixing it around like 11:30ish. I was ready for bed. Like, I had to wake up at 5.
I had work the next morning too. But I just couldn't get it, and then I watched a YouTube video, and taught me a little audio engineering on how to get 2 mics that don't pick up each other's voices. because that was our problem.
Yeah, so he's an audio engineer now. Our
Pro audio engineer.
Breeze treats are a little bit more firm, which I guess is good if you double the butter, because they're gonna be sticky treats at that point. They're gonna be greasy treats, but nothing is better than
treats.
They're gonna be like a little bit like more buttery. They're gonna have a little bit more like butter. Move to them. Really, just they're so good. And then, like, if you don't like the consistency, you can add more marshmallow. The thing is, you don't want to have too much of the cereal. Mm-hmm. You want it to be. We make these like in my sister makes the Rice Krispie treats of the family, and they're addicting. You've had my sister's Rice Krispie treats. Oh yeah. They're addicting. Mm-hmm. Mushy. It's the butter.
Nice.
It's the butter.
Nice. So Brie, nice little Breeze treat for us. It's nice to have it on camera for the first time in a while.
Yeah.
Or ever. You can also see a little sneak peek at what Brie is going to present for Breeze Treats on our Instagram. We'll link that and plug that at the end of the show. Brie, before we get into Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, I have a question for you.
What's the question?
What scares you?
You know, what really scares me, chills me to the bone, is when, you know, the smoke detector goes off. There's no smoke in the house. You're like, what's that? We had a little bit of an experience today.
We had a scare. Well, okay, so I'll say this before we talk about this story. I just told Brie this. I'm like, I've got too much Halloween content in my brain right now because we've just been watching and burning through these movies, and I'm reading a book about the production of all of the Halloween movies. So Michael Myers on the brain, and it's making me a little paranoid. If I'm going to be honest, I'm jumpy. When I go to sleep and I'm sitting in the bed and the TV's off and everyone's trying to go to sleep and I'm hearing the creaks and cracks of the house.
Oh, that's like me when I first got into paganism and witchcraft. And you like put it in my head that like I'm inviting things into this house, and then every creak would keep me awake. I could not sleep well for 2 weeks because this man had convinced me that I had brought evil spirits into our home, and I was like,
put that evil on me, Brie.
And I like smudged like every day. Now I smudge a little bit less, and I still like do my thing. But you put things in your head and my head here.
I've always wanted a Ouija board.
No.
She keeps saying no. My mom also says no.
Your mom's a smart lady.
One of my former high school teachers
said no.
Also like implored me. He was my religion teacher. I went to a private school. Yeah. And he was my world religions teacher, and he heavily implored me not to get a Ouija board. He was teaching a lesson on cults.
Like the Ouija.
Yeah.
Don't touch the Ouija.
Well, I didn't tell him, but I guess word spread that I wanted to get a Ouija board, and it made its way back to our teacher. And he was teaching this lesson, and he's starting to talk about like messing with bad stuff. And he looks me dead in the eye during the lesson, like almost like he was talking directly to me. And he said, "Do not ever play with a Ouija board."
So here's the thing, and we can get into this when we watch something more witchy or more ghosty, more demony. But like the Christianity's demons and what like demons are different.
Demo.
So we can get into that, and I'll explain everything. Like I'm really into like the occult and stuff like that, and I can tell you, I mean, like not everything is there to be your friend. You have to be careful who you invite in, and you have to be respectful. And when you just play with Ouija boards, you're inviting in anything.
It's a game from Hasbro.
Yeah, but the implications of you go through the process of seeking out the other side.
Maybe we do it for the pod.
No, we don't do it for the pod. We don't. I will smudge the pod, but I will not do a Ouija board. Okay, let's get into it then.
Yeah, so let's get some background into Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. So Halloween 5 was written and directed by, and I'm going to butcher this name, Dominique Authentin-Gerard.
Nice name.
Authentin-Gerard. I think I pronounced it properly. There was an OG script. There was an original script for Halloween 5 because to go back in time a little bit. Halloween 4 ended with Jamie.
Yeah, Jamie had just, stabbed her foster mom.
Yeah. And then you have Loomis. No.
And then he was going to go shoot her. Like a crazy man.
He was going to murk her. And so the original script was called Halloween, The Killer Inside Me. And it was gonna follow Jamie Lloyd being evil and killing people. And I don't know if it was gonna have a Michael Myers in it. I read something about they had talked about Michael getting resurrected like Frankenstein by like a bolt of lightning, but I think this was after Friday the 13th Part 6, where that also happens to Jason.
So if we're going to talk about what I wish for this movie, I wish they would have, passed the torch, I guess, to Jamie, and then had her bring back Michael, if that was my wish for this.
How would she have done that? Pitch it to me right now.
No.
Pitch me this movie.
Okay, so Michael is in this coma per se.
Well, he's dead.
Well,
at the end of 4, right? He gets shot to oblivion.
Well, he's in a coma with the hermit.
Well, that's the start of 5.
Well, yeah. Well, he goes and he falls down the mine shaft. If they had left the mine shaft alone, he was buried in the mine shaft. Okay, and they just call it a day with the mine shaft. He's just in the mine shaft. Okay, we call this Jamie's movie. You pick up on
Halloween
Jamie.
5, Jamie's movie.
Yeah, right. You pick up on Jamie. She's locked away. We don't have to put her in the same psychiatric facility, but she breaks out, or say she's in a home for troubled youth because she didn't kill her mom.
Do you think this is in your pitch for Halloween 5, Jamie's movie? Is it how many years after?
I would give it a little bit more time. So she's a teenager.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, this sounds like something like Breakfast Club meets Halloween.
She's a troubled youth at the same kind of not a children's hospital facility, but a house for a bunch of troubled teens. It's a bunch of troubled kids.
They should just do Breakfast Club. Just have her in detention.
No, but I'm thinking more severe than just bad kids. No, she had tried to commit murder, because I like the idea that they had that she didn't actually kill the mom because she was a kid and she shouldn't have the strength to do so. And then
but Michael was a kid.
Something comes over her. It's towards Halloween. She starts losing herself and becomes
in the music,
a murderer,
and
her path trajectory is to that mine shaft.
She's single-minded, I'm going to the mine shaft.
And I'm gonna kill everything along the way.
Oh, interesting. So does the movie end with Michael resurrected during the movie or at the end of the movie?
At the end of the movie. So then you have
Michael and Jamie, buddy cop, teaming up.
Yeah. Or he kills her, because
oh, that'd be sick.
Because he comes up. The next movie starts the end of the first movie, and then he's she's the first one. He comes up out of the mine shaft, stabs right through her. Start of the next movie.
Ooh. Who's directing? Who's directing?
Directed and produced by me.
I'm gonna pitch you a Halloween movie real quick.
Okay, pitch.
Jamie, going based off the intro to your movie.
Okay.
Jamie is in detention. She's in school. She's in a high school. She's in detention. And you got all these kids that are in detention with her. Michael Myers is in the school, locked down at the school. So you have this movie with a bunch of teenagers, Jamie and Michael Myers in the school.
And then it goes all Scooby-Doo style?
Sure. There's a dog. There's a Great Dane.
And they're open up closet doors. There's Michael. They close it. They run the other way.
We can have a scene where in Scooby-Doo when there's a hallway with doors on each side and the gang runs through one side and out the other and Michael's chasing them. We could do that over groovy 60s music. Yeah.
Okay.
I want Martin Scorsese. I want him directing this.
No, he's not good enough.
He's not good enough.
Okay, so what I really like about this opening is, like, I don't know what weapon it is in the opening, but I thought it was a scythe. And it was just like
oh yeah,
just like a chopping sound, like the sound of you taking a metal scythe and just shh, shh, shh. I thought that was really cool as an opening. Mm-hmm. And then as we get further into the opening, then you get some music, which we were lacking in the last opening.
Yeah, I noticed that this movie, it opens, and during that opening credit scene, it just says Halloween 5. There's no subtitle, even though there's a subtitle to the movie. No subtitle. We didn't care about it that much. The movie itself, I think, generally is filmed pretty decently. Like, it's got some pretty stylistic shots in there, but it's slow.
Oh, yeah, we noted. Movie. I think this is the most notes I've taken for any of the
Same with
movies.
Me, actually.
It's like 3 pages of notes.
Oh, I've got 2. Well, 1.5. But so I try to limit mine to 1 all the time.
I'm the person who does beat by beat notes, and then Anthony's the one who really takes detailed notes during the climax. It just works for us.
That's just our gimmick.
I don't take notes during the climax of the movies because I like to enjoy them.
Yeah. I also wrote the opening kind of bleeds into the Halloween music. Like it's absent at first, but then it kind of transitions into the Halloween music.
They do a really good job of it's the scythe noise, and then all of a sudden we get that like Halloween music.
So we open up to a recap of the climax to Halloween 4, and it's basically just shot for shot the same, last 10 minutes or so, recapped into maybe a 3-minute scene. Yeah. But there's one change. They add something in there. And it's kind of a big detail that's apparently omitted from Halloween 4, but brought into 5, is that, when I was watching Halloween 4, I sat there and I thought, I'm like, okay, this is cool because all of like the angry townspeople, they're like, it's like Frankenstein. They're all revolting against the monster, right? And they start shooting him with artillery, and he makes like the weird, like, he goes like this, like with his hands, and then he falls into the mine shaft, right? And the mine shaft collapses, and then that's it. But what we see in Halloween 5 is they throw a stick of dynamite down there.
And then you get like the most hilarious, like maybe like 5-ish minutes where Michael army crawls out of the mine shaft into the river and gets swept up by the current.
And it's just like what looks to be a dummy in a Michael Myers mask, just like hanging out in the current.
Just floating down the lazy river.
But I wish I would have known that they threw a freaking stick of dynamite. That makes more sense as to why everybody believes that he's dead. Like, that would have been nice to know in the 4th movie that they did that. But Michael's floating down the current. I wrote, Michael being taken by current equals funny.
And then he's pretty smart about how to get out of the current. He's making sure to grab onto like netting and what appears to be kind of like a makeshift bridge for people who are fishing.
Trapped by the current as well.
Nearby. And he pulls himself to the side. And then we get like a little like shack he's going up to, and it reminded me of a joke from a Mulaney sketch, of course. John Mulaney.
I know exactly what you're gonna say.
Michael's like just walking up to the shack, and I'm like, Michael Myers gonna open the door to this guy, be like, I'm homeless. I am gay. And I'm new in town.
But this guy like is like, oh, Mike. Well, he doesn't say Mike, but he like almost gets choked out by Michael Myers, and then Michael collapses from his injuries, and this guy like nurses him back to health, and then it time skips a year. It time skips to Halloween the next year.
1 year later,
Jamie is in a children's clinic, and her brain is being monitored.
Like, yeah, she's like her bed sleep. Like her bed is hooked up to like a little machine, and she's scared of herself.
She's scared. She can't speak. She's mute, and she wakes up from a nightmare because Michael wakes up from his what I think it was in a year-long coma at what I assume is a year-long coma, because it's hard for me to put together that Michael and this hermit had
Or just
been,
shacking up together.
they're just shacking up, like odd couple, like they're peacefully coexisting, like
but
Michael's
I'd
making him
also,
brunch.
like, be wary of the fact that this hermit did not take this obviously sick and hurt man to the hospital.
No, he didn't do that. And he sees, oh, a man in mask tried to choke me, and now I'm going to nurse him back to health instead of like calling someone.
Strange.
Or like getting someone's attention. So Michael wakes up, he murks this guy. But Michael doesn't have his mask on at first. And we do see like a little glimpse of Michael's face. And I wrote that Michael's face, beautiful.
Right? He
Beautiful.
looked like a really handsome dude.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I turned to Anthony, I was like, I'm not getting like a really good view of the face, but I'm
there's
getting,
no burns.
I'm like, but I'm getting a good enough view to be like, who plays Michael in this movie? We got to pull up the actor.
Because
I want to know if he's really good looking, like what it made it seem.
Do you think he's good looking for our generation, or is he 80s good looking?
He might be 80s good looking.
Maybe 80s good looking.
Which is a different good looking. So I wrote telepathic communication.
Yes, that's established at the very beginning, that Jamie and Michael are telepathically linked somehow. I will give one criticism. Well, I'm going to give many criticisms. One of my major criticisms: it's never fully explained the extent of that telepathy. Like, I guess I'll explain it a little bit more later when we get into more details of the movie. But I don't think it was ever really expanded upon. It's established, but it's never expanded upon.
This is the feeling that I get from the telepathy, and I mean, this is what my understanding of is. He can feel her, and she can feel him.
Because she can see when he murders, and that's when she like freaks out.
She can feel he's like, people are in danger.
Yeah.
And
but there's the scene in the beginning where
she can see what
she like puts on the mask when he does,
but not like with her eyes, you know what I mean? Like, she can't see what he sees with his eye. Like, she's not seeing from his eyes.
Well, first of all, Michael's not supposed to have eyes because they got shot out in Halloween 2, but that's beside the point.
That's not, I don't think that's how their telepathic communication works. I think his brain interprets the color red and the color black, and she used those two colors. And so she makes the connection, red, black, our house is red and black. He's at our house.
Interesting. Well, that's later in the movie too.
I know.
I didn't pick that up. I didn't put that together.
So I don't think I needed the telepathic communication to be explained to me, because I kind of just get it.
They didn't need to say, well, they're telepathically linked, but the extent of their telepathy is not explained, because I'm gonna
I don't think they can
forward.
I don't think they can sense where each other's are.
No, they can't do that. But I'm going to spoil something before we get into it.
Oh no.
I'm going to push forward a little bit. Michael kills Rachel.
And she has no idea.
And Jamie has no idea, right? But she can sense when he kills other people. Like, she's surprised when she sees Rachel's body later on in the movie.
I think, but she did sense that someone had died.
She sensed that something was wrong, but she should have sensed that Rachel, like, you know what I mean? The extent of their telepathy is never fully expanded upon.
Well, she wakes up from this like dream, and during the dream, she's kind of scribbling the words, "He's coming."
Yeah.
He's coming. No one finds this little thing.
What the hell?
That would have been the perfect way for Loomis to figure out that Michael's on his way.
Does Loomis see it?
I don't think so.
Then how does Loomis know that? Just because Jamie's freaking out?
Yeah.
That's I'm
just like,
lazy.
why give her the chalkboard to write "He's coming" if no one's ever going to see this chalkboard that says he's coming?
But then the nurse comes in, and this nurse is acting her butt off this entire movie. This actress, Jamie, wake up, Jamie.
I wrote, nurse is overacting.
Oh yeah.
For this particular movie, this is overacting.
Oh yeah. I am going to hit you with a behind the scenes detail. Dominique Othenton Gerard, if I pronounced his name properly once again, he did not get along with Donald Pleasance throughout this movie. Donald Pleasance thought that, I think he was quoted in like some interview, maybe with Fangoria, but Donald Pleasance was saying Gerard he doesn't know that he's making a 5th movie in a franchise. Like, he's trying to make something that's his own thing, but he doesn't realize he's making a 5th movie. So Gerard wanted Donald Pleasance to play a character that a version of Loomis that's very stern and very strong and like very like he has willpower, you know, he's controlling of himself. And Donald Pleasance was like, no, I should be playing this character as he has evolved for the past 4 movies, because he's getting crazier and crazier as Michael kills and kills and kills and keeps doing it. So we see a Loomis that is more desperate to do stuff. And he goes to try to stop Michael by really any means necessary. And we see that later on in the film.
And then we get, like, they take her on a gurney because they think she's dying. She's she's not breathing. And that is the first time I've seen a gurney go downstairs. I never knew how a gurney went downstairs.
You never knew that?
No.
I remember you in the movie the other day.
Is that how it works?
Wow. You were like so mystified by that. This is modern technology, Brie.
And I was like, I wrote it down. I said, I never knew how they took people down the stairs. I just assumed.
Cool stuff, right? Well, you just thought they pushed people?
No, I'm kidding. I knew they got them down by rolling them down, but I didn't know, like, to counteract, they kind of, like, the legs go up and down.
Sure.
It was cool.
Yeah. We noticed that Michael has made it back to Haddonfield, and he's now stalking Rachel, Jamie's stepsister. Well, they say stepsister. She's not a stepsister.
No, she's
a foster sister.
Yeah.
But they keep saying stepsister in the movie, and to say stepsister would imply that, like, one of Rachel's parents is Jamie's parents, and that doesn't make sense. So she's the foster sister from the 4th movie, the final girl of the 4th movie, and Michael's stalking her at her house, and Michael makes it back to Haddonfield, which we both noted. I think Michael travels the least amount of distance.
Good for him. He was working his butt off for the last couple. I think the only reason he goes back to that house is because he thinks Jamie's there, because he doesn't have the ability to know where Jamie's at. Yeah,
and he's just like, the last I saw of Jamie, I guess, was at her house.
Yeah, at this house.
Yeah, so he's looking for Jamie, and he stumbles upon Rachel, and he's stalking her, and we get this, like, tense scene where Michael's physically in the house, just like watching her, and she's coming out of the shower, and then she gets a call from Jamie and Loomis because Jamie is having some kind of freak out about,
because she knows that she grabs the 2 like colored markers and draws the dog, and the dog's barking, and Loomis takes her seriously, like, right away, and calls,
"What do you know?"
and says. Calls, like, her, like, "Are you okay? How's the dog?" Well, the dog's been going crazy barking. Go check the dog.
You need to check this dog now. She goes to check the dog. Dog's fine, right?
Yeah, but then, like, the dog is gone the next time she goes to check the dog, and he tells her to get out.
Yeah,
of the house.
She gets out and she calls the police. And here we have, this movie has such a weird tone because it's supposed to be this really, like, the way Gerard talks about in the book Taking Shape, the author has an interview with Gerard, and the way Gerard talks about it, and I don't want to, like, poo-poo on people.
Go ahead, take a big old poo.
Should I take a big old poo?
Take a big old poo.
He sounds a little pretentious in this interview, and I talked to you about this, where sounds like the way he pitched the movie and the way that he presented it to producer Mustafa Akkad was he made it sound like this is going to be the best movie ever made, and he talks about breaking the rules of horror movie, like traditional rules of horror movies and the traditional rules of Halloween, and he thought that just because he was being different automatically meant that it was good, and that's not necessarily the case. So Gerard, like, a major complaint about the movie is that it's slow, and Gerard has said in interviews, this isn't a slow movie, this is how you build tension. And I'm like, buddy.
No, because we talked about, and we'll talk about it more as we get towards the climax, a climax should be when you're not building tension anymore. It should be just relieving tension.
Yes.
And this climax is so drawn out
Long.
that you don't even, it's not even suspenseful anymore because you've used up all the tension you built the entire movie.
Oh, don't get me started. We'll get into how they ruin things in this movie.
Yeah.
So
the police come out, they go check the house.
No. The police are there. And what I was getting at was tone, because Gerard has been building this movie to be high tension, and this is how we're building tension, this is how we're building horror. But yet the police are introduced, and we get what I wrote as goofy 80s police music.
Yeah, it was like,
where it's like the horns.
It was like squeaky noises.
It's like clown music.
And I said, I was like, squeaky noises.
And then I looked at Brie.
Police.
I looked at Brie. I'm like, well, they're gonna die.
Yeah, we knew right away. We're like, oh well, these guys. It was
they're not
nice,
taken seriously.
It was nice knowing them because they're dead. And then we get Jamie's freaking out again after the police leave and say we checked everything, right? We obviously know Michael's in the house.
Michael's been hiding in the closet.
Michael's hiding in the closet. Jamie's freaking out, and this is we are in the Haddonfield Clinic for Children, and Jamie has like a guy friend,
Billy.
This boy will not keep his hands to himself.
She pushed him away.
Yeah, she's like don't touch me. And I wrote down like, consent, weird boy, don't touch her.
Learn from an early age. No means no.
Yeah, like, don't touch her. She said, stop touching me.
Is that the age where kids should start learn? Like, should they already have learned that by age 9, or
our child will learn as soon as like they leave? Well, actually, even before then, you need to teach consent to children. Like they have bodily autonomy. I won't make our kid hug anybody. If you want to hug somebody, you don't even have to hug grandma.
Oh, Grandma ain't gonna like that.
I'm like, it's gonna break grandma's heart into pieces.
Grandma ain't gonna like either grandma. Not gonna like that.
But just because you're related to a kid doesn't mean you get like, can I have a hug? The kid should be able to say no, not right now.
Yeah, I agree.
We're gonna we'll explore because we're gonna become parents within the next couple years.
Got asked about that today.
Oh no!
Somebody's like, "Oh, when are kids coming?" I was like, "IDK."
We're gonna get married first, so we get married this year. And
I think we've talked about the wedding on every episode
because we're excited.
Yeah, we're excited. Anyway, moving forward, the Shape. Can we still call him the Shape? Is he just Michael?
I
think he's still Michael.
Michael Myers. MM. He's a creeper at this point.
He stabs Rachel with scissors in the chest.
Yeah. Mean.
He stabs her in the chest, which is an interesting
write down
call.
Something quite inappropriate at this point.
I'll say it.
I said Michael be scissoring him.
Brie. Oh, Brie.
Oh, Brie.
You did say that. I remember you laughing to yourself and then saying that to me, and I went, "Oh my god!"
Scissoring people out here.
So, this is kind of an interesting move on the part of this movie, which is why Gerard says he's breaking rules.
It was too early to kill Rachel in the movie.
Well, she's the final girl of the last movie. Final girls don't normally make it to the sequel.
Yeah, they don't.
Or they don't make it past the first scene in the sequel. Like if you think of Friday the 13th, in part 2, I can't remember the character's name because all those characters are nameless. But the final girl from Friday the 13th 1 makes it to the first 5 minutes of part 2 and then dies.
But then is he doing what is new and innovative?
No, because Psycho did that, right? Like Psycho build Janet Leigh to be the star of the movie, and then they killed her off early on. So I think that was Gerard's take on, I'm shocking the audience, so to speak, and I'm moving away from the established norms of horror movies. I don't know if it worked. I guess it did. Who cares? But there's I wrote Michael is humanized a little bit in this movie. There's still a very big supernatural essence to this movie with the telepathy, and then you get the Thorn stuff, which we'll get into. But for the most part, he's pretty much humanized. I don't think he's teleporting anywhere.
No, he's walking.
Yeah,
he has to drive a car later on.
He literally drives a car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're back at the children's home, and I said same speech, Loomy Boomy. Loomis gives his same speech to say, Michael is back. You haven't looked in the eyes and seen
the darkest eyes.
You've just seen pure evil.
Pure evil.
And then he makes the guy look at his hand and face.
Look at my buns.
Look at me. I said, look at my ugly. Look at it. Look at it.
Yeah, so
I'm sorry, but I'm very ugly.
Loomis in this movie takes he's too weird, I think. Like, he's hanging around a children's clinic. I understand he's a child psychologist.
He's a doctor.
He's a child psychiatrist or psychologist or whatever, but he's obviously terrible at his job. And he keeps hanging around these kids, and I'm just like, get away from me, creepy old man with burns.
But honestly, if you think about, I guess, I don't know, because I don't know how Jamie feels about.
I think Jamie trusts him,
Dr. Loomis,
at this point.
But it's like he wants to. I think Loomis is just so obsessed with protecting Jamie so she doesn't turn out like Michael.
Yeah,
he wants to prevent.
So he's been monitoring her.
Yeah, he wants to prevent her from becoming Michael. He couldn't save Michael, but maybe he can save Jamie.
Yeah, and this is why we say Loomis is desperate in this movie, and there's a lot of stuff that indicates that. We're introduced to our cast of teenagers in this movie. We have Tina, who is Rachel's friend, who once Rachel dies kind of moves into the place of a main character and a final girl. We have her friend Samantha. We have Tina's boyfriend Mike, which is very confusing because we also have Michael Myers. She's going to become Mike real quick.
Because I can see with these on because I don't have glasses. Oh, I got myself in the nose. As you can see,
name's Mike.
When they introduced the boyfriend Mike, Anthony turns to me and says, "Two Mikes? That's confusing."
That's confusing. One's good, one's evil.
Why would they do that? Well,
but the
why
teenage
did they do
Mike
it?
is not good. He's kind of a dickhead.
Oh, he's a little dillhole.
Yeah.
That's why he dies so early.
Yeah, I don't know. You're the beat by beat person. What happens next?
So after the friends, we meet the cast of characters, but then Tina goes back to the house to kind of find Rachel. And then kind of just looks around a little bit, but like not like Rachel's. We don't know that she's not there anymore. Like we find out later, Michael took the body.
He's hiding them in the Myers house.
Yeah. So she looks around for Rachel, can't find her. Assumes Rachel had gone to her parents in the country, which is established in the beginning.
It's a dumb thing to assume if she didn't tell anybody.
Yeah. So, the friend's like, oh, well, gets ready. And they like she didn't even look hard.
No,
she looked like around a couple of corners. And then,
I guess she went to the country.
And left the dog.
Yeah, there's so many red flags.
The dog is tied up in the back of the house, and Michael's still in the house.
Oh, yeah. She walks out of the house, she looks back, she sees him in the window, and then he disappears. Well, and you can see he doesn't just disappear. He just moves to the side because you can see his shoulder a little bit on the side.
And
we meet a dude who's coming off of a bus, and he's wearing black. He's got a black duster. He's got a black hat. He's got black boots with spurs. Mm-hmm. And he kicks this dog he's walking by. And this is the man in black who we see pretty consistently. I said, who is the man in black?
You also said, is he wearing spurs?
I also said, is he wearing spurs? I thought of Boba Fett. Because Boba Fett wears spurs. So a little bit about the man in black here. I will let you know, Brie. We never get an answer in Halloween 5 about who the man in black is.
But we get an answer in Halloween 6.
We do get an answer in Halloween 6. Gerard, the writer and director, he didn't even know who the man in black was. He said in an interview, I introduced this character that I didn't know who he was going to be.
What?
Just to set it up for whatever writer took over for the next movie.
Knowing he wasn't going to come back?
Yeah, well, I don't know if he knew that he wasn't going to come back, but that's kind of bad idea.
Yeah, you never like.
Like, how do you write a character without knowing who the character is?
Well, I guess you have just a character that shows up like a couple of times and never says anything, and we never see the character.
But he has a mark on his wrist. That is the mark of the thorn. It's a little thorn symbol, a little thorny thorn.
Mark of the Thorn is the stupidest thing.
We also see Michael has that mark as well.
We all got matching tattoos.
We mark our friendship with matching tattoos.
So
the rumor was that this guy was Michael's brother. That's not true. Just wait till we get to Halloween 6. You'll get it.
Okay, so then they go to the store, like to pick up beer, I guess, and booze and stuff, and they're gonna like take it, I guess, not pay for it. And I like these. I feel this vibe. Well,
you got to take them off after the scene.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So Mike is being like a dill hole and was told, hey, you got to go park in the back so that they don't catch us taking this beer in the middle of the day.
He lights up a cigarette and he's like, okay.
And then he like angrily presses on the gas, pulls around to the back, and Michael does probably the biggest piece of shit move.
Who, Mike or Michael?
Michael, because he takes like this.
It's like a little like hoe.
No, so it's what you use
like a portable hoe
in gardening to break up the dirt.
Yeah, it's like a hoe.
No, because it's like it looks like a claw.
It's like a small hoe.
No, a hoe.
A hoe for show.
A hoe is bent and flat. This has claws in it. I forget what it's called, but it like breaks up dirt.
Yeah, he's just using gardening tools this whole movie.
So he takes this and he goes along the side of the car. And he scrapes it. And Mike's like, what the problem with you guys?
Mike's like, hey, yo,
what's your problem?
He's not Italian, but I wish he was.
He could have been. We don't know. And Mike, yeah, he doesn't care. I guess he's just like
Mike or Michael.
Michael. Mike cares a lot.
This is confusing.
Mike cares a lot. Michael,
not so much.
Doesn't give a toot. When Mike tries to confront, like Mike gets up to like get out of the car to confront Michael just goes doink.
Yeah, he bops him on the head with it. Dink.
And that's how we get.
And that's how we get that
our treat for today.
It's Mike.
It's Mike. R.I.P. in peace.
All right, now you got to take off the Mike vibe glasses.
He did. So
yeah, as a little tribute to Mike.
At the feet of Mothman.
I will also talk about very briefly how the Myers house looks completely different to the Myers house from the first movie. They added an extra story.
I complained about it. I said, the Myers house is a different, like, okay, so we live in a ranch. Like, it's all one level. The Myers house is just like a 2-story house, and it has
this one has like an attic.
It has almost like a wraparound, like a half wrap porch, and it's a very much like it's a rectangle. It's not like any fanciness, and it's a white house. Mm-hmm. The house in this,
it's like green.
It's
right?
like a gray,
it's green and red.
Like it's not the colors of the first house from the first movie. It's not even the same type of house. This house looks more Victorian in nature. Like it's a whole different house. That's why I was like, where are they?
Yeah, she said she was confused. She goes, where are we? I was like, I think this is the Myers house.
I'm like, this doesn't look like the Myers house. So they done messed up that. Because like no one, if they didn't say this is the Myers house, I wouldn't know.
Yeah. So Loomis is in the Myers house. He's like calling out Michael, blah blah blah. Nothing happens there. And I wrote, all these kids are playing pranks on each other. This is about 90% of what all of the teenagers in this movie do. They fucking play pranks on each other, and it gets old quick.
Yeah. So when we first get, like, Michael kills Mike and takes his car and then still picks up Tina for the night of Halloween night.
Well, I think we're moving too quick here.
No.
Yes.
No, we're not.
You're right. No, you're right.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I wrote beat by beat.
Well, yeah, I'm looking at my notes right now. I got confused. I got confuzzled a little bit.
He jumped ahead, and I wanted to bring us back because
So Michael kills Mike, and I wrote there can only be one.
So Michael takes Mike's car, puts on another mask over his mask.
Okay, so wait, can we pause for a second?
Yeah.
And can we talk about Michael's mask in this movie?
It's a different mask.
It's a completely different mask.
And
this
he
is,
was in a...
I would argue, well, I don't know. Is this the worst mask?
No,
so
I
far?
felt like the last one was the worst.
It was too clean.
It was too clean.
Boring
At
looking.
least this one. But this one was too, like...
It's big.
It was big.
You could see it protruding from,
and I didn't know. And I told you about
neck.
this. I was like, is the mask too big or is the actor too thin?
No, I think the mask it was like bell-bottomed at the bottom. It was like flaring out towards the ends. Gerard said the reason that they made the mask look like what it was because they wanted it to have a more human looking aesthetic. They wanted to give it more human-like features.
But the mask should have been the exact same one from the last one.
Which should have been the exact same one from the first one.
Because he didn't get a new mask. Whereas the last one...
Oh, no, you are right. You are absolutely right.
Whereas the last one, it made sense of the mask like shit because he had grabbed a new mask. This one, he did not grab... It should have been the exact same mask.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So Michael puts on this other ugly mask over his other mask, and he goes and picks up Tina in the car. And Tina's like dressed in like this costume where it's like very,
it's showy.
It's a showy costume.
You know what I thought when you said
I would wear
Tina?
It. What?
Tina's alter ego. Tina.
And like she's being flirty. She's like going around the car, like, and then she's like, Mike, let me in. And like, Mike, and she's like, it's cold. And I'm like, but the car, like, it's a convertible with the top up, so it's got
its windows down.
And the windows are down. It's like, it's not any warmer in this car. And then he eventually lets her in to the car, and she's like trying to talk to him, and he's very quiet. We know Michael like doesn't talk. So she's just like, oh, the silent treatment. Yeah.
I like that Michael drives again in this movie. This is the first time we see him drive, really, since the first one.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that they chose that as a callback for.
I guess, Halloween. And then I wrote Man in Black, so we must see him again.
We do see the Man in Black again. He's just like walking the streets.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then they're driving and they're going to pass a gas station, and she tells Michael, who she assumes is Mike, to pull over. She wants cigarettes. They drive past the gas station, and she's like, hey, I said I wanted cigarettes. And he like does a very reminiscent thing of the first movie where when he's yelled at, he abruptly stops the car. And they pull in, and she's like, this guy's a jerk. She goes into
what a jerk.
Yeah, she goes into the gas station, and then Jamie freaks out again. She senses something's not right.
Well, she can talk at this point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. She learns how. Does she learn how to talk now? No, she can't talk yet.
She can't talk yet.
Spoilers.
She's freaking out, and she's signing.
Oh, yeah, she signs.
And Billy is interpreting the sign.
Billy is kind of an MVP.
Like, woman, cookies, and they find out...
She's signing the sign, right?
The sign outside the gas station. So then the police are there, and Loomis is there. The police are able to figure out what gas station this, like, Tina's at, and they rescue Tina, like, just in time.
Yeah, and Michael's gone.
Michael,
with the car.
Once the police, while he's still in the parking lot waiting for her, she's about to go back into the car, and she would have been murked like that second. But because the police had come right on time, he dipped, and then she assumed Mike was just being a jerk. But Michael Myers left.
Dead. Mike dead. Michael take over.
Like Michael, yeah.
So Tina gets taken to the children's clinic, right?
Yes.
By the police.
Mm-hmm.
And she stays for all of 5 minutes. And she's like, ain't nothing to see here. I got to go to a party.
But Tina's like being safe is what gets Jamie to talk.
Yes.
Like Jamie's talking now. But I thought it's so weird that she's willing to leave Jamie when Jamie's like really worried about her safety.
And Jamie starts talking again.
And you're going to leave her.
That's kind of a big development.
And she's just like, sometimes when you're older, you just meet someone and they drive you crazy. I'm like,
and they're like,
how
no,
selfish.
Tina, you are going to die if you go out.
It's so selfish.
Yeah, so she leaves and she goes to a party with Samantha and her boyfriend,
I guess.
Spitz.
And then we can get into these kids play too many
pranks. This made me angry, this movie, because I'm like, how many pranks do these kids pull? They scare each other like super often. There's like 3 times before this scene they scare each other,
and they do it with like the Michael Myers mask.
they're at the barn party or the farm party, and the police are told, those 2 goofy cops are told to escort Tina and like make sure she's safe.
So we're doomed at this point.
They're sitting outside the farm, and Tina runs out screaming. Her friend runs out screaming, and then you see Michael Myers chasing down Tina, and he backs her into a corner, and the police are like, "Oh my God, it's Michael Myers!" So they get out of the car and they point their guns, and it's a teenager in a Michael Myers costume pulling a prank. And then says, "I got you. It's just a prank, man." Oh.
And that's not the first prank. They play way too many pranks.
So this is about the 4th prank. Also, stupid prank to play on the police again, because we said this in Halloween 4. Fucking stupid to play pranks on the police. Oh, I'm gonna dress up as a known psychopath that's currently on the loose, and I'm gonna scare the police. A great way to get yourself shot. Because those police in Halloween 5, even though they're goofy, they don't put that gun down.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And then we get, Tina's friend, what's her name again?
Samantha
and the boyfriend go to the barn.
Spitz.
For some sexy time in the barn.
And then he does it again.
Yeah.
Spitz does it again.
Where he
pretends to be Michael Myers and scares the crap out of her, and then it's a prank.
Yeah, and so at that point I'm like,
it ruins the whole like shock of Michael actually being there, because it happens so many times.
We're desensitized to it.
Yeah,
we're like, oh, it's just gonna be another prank. Right. And I remember turning to him, I'm like, oh God, I just hope they die with all these pranks
just get it done.
They're playing
at this point.
And so I turned to you and I said, oh, sexy time in a dirty barn. I was like, if we did this, I would die. Because I'm allergic to hay. I have like a severe
We went to a barn dance in college. That was like our first date.
And I almost died. I had to take 2, I couldn't drink at the thing because I had to take like several allergy medications. And then from then on, we agreed to go to only one of our barn dances. So then I would only have to be exposed to hay one time within a month, not twice, because I get like throat itchy, closey, you were struggling. I remember itchy all over. It's a straw. I can't touch it, but there's no avoiding touching it. So I'm like, I would die.
So Michael ends up killing.
Yeah, pitchfork through him,
Spitz,
and a scythe
and
to
a scythe
her
slash to her head. Yeah, for Sam. So, they're both murgled again. Why this tasty treat has a little fork in it, because the pitchfork as well.
And then we get, Tina, the party's kind of dying down. Everyone's getting ready to leave. And Tina's going to go find her friends. Like, I can't leave without my friends. Like, I got to go find them.
Spitz.
And so she goes to the barn. She finds the cute kitty cat, but notices the cute kitty cat is covered in blood. And then she gets the jump scare of like, okay, the bodies fall on her. And she's terrified. So she goes running out. Everyone's pretty much left.
The police are dead.
But she sees the police car. So she goes running up to the police car. And they didn't even give the police the respect of being killed. They didn't give an
on-camera death. They show Michael coming out with the pitchfork.
But they didn't show
And then the police are
dying.
like, hey, buddy, come here. And Michael's like, I will oblige you. And then stabs him with the pitchfork off screen.
I don't know what happens after this.
So Tina gets chased by Michael in the car.
Oh, yeah, and he could not catch her. And I wrote, I'm fast as fuck, boy.
I know. Well, okay, so Tina and Jamie. Because Jamie's there, too, because they, at one point, leave the clinic.
Oh yeah, Jamie.
They run away from the clinic to
Jamie
find
pulls
Tina.
like a Houdini on Loomis, and her and Billy like they give him the old slip.
Yeah.
To go find Tina because they won't let.
So Michael starts chasing Tina, and then he stabs Tina and kills her, like, pretty surprisingly, because she was set up to be the final girl of this movie and then dies.
It's important to note that Tina died to protect the children.
Yes.
She put herself in harm's way so that Jamie and Billy could get away.
Yeah. So they're running in the woods, and Michael is driving a car in the woods. I don't know how that works because there's a lot of trees.
And then Anthony turns to me. He's like, why are they outrunning a car? And I said, well, they're in the woods. He has to do a lot of dodging. And then at that same moment, Michael drives the car into a tree.
Yeah. I was like, dude, just get out of the car. No, not only does he drive the car into the tree, but the car explodes.
They love to make car explode.
Yeah, the car explodes, and then Michael walks out like no battle damage at all, no fall damage, no fire damage, like nothing. He's perfectly fine. And he starts chasing them. I just wrote Michael's a shitty driver. Like,
he starts chasing him, and then at one point I thought like he was right behind them, but then we find out that the figure right behind them is actually Loomis, who like scoops him up.
Well, he scoops him up, and then he tells Michael to go to the Myers house. He's like, "You want her? We'll be at the Myers house."
Okay, and this is where to take them out of this particular place and then move them somewhere else during the climax of the movie was not the correct choice.
But was that the climax? I don't think that was the climax. Well, that was just an action set piece.
But after that, it got boring.
It slows down.
After that,
it totally slows down.
It doesn't. If you're gonna say that's an action set piece and there's gonna be another action set piece, they need to be closer together.
Well,
they need to build into each other.
They need to build into each other. So the way action movies are typically, and this is an action movie, but typically action movies are formatted in a way where it's like you have three big action set pieces. You have a small one at the beginning, a medium one in the middle, and then a large one to end the movie. And it doesn't feel like we have, and again, this isn't an action movie, so I don't know, maybe a false equivalency. Anyway, Loomis sets up a trap at the Myers house. He has Jamie kind of sitting there, but there's cops like all around the Myers house positioned.
And one of the cops is like loud.
One of the cops is loud and like trying to have a full ass conversation with Jamie.
And Jamie's like,
shut the fuck up. She doesn't say it, but politely she's like, dude, stop fucking talking to me right now. Like, we're trying to trap Michael Myers. And he's like, oh, sorry.
And then we get into this whole, like, Michael gets there.
Well, does Michael call in like a fake tip to the police that the clinic is under attack?
No. I think Michael goes to the clinic and starts attacking.
I know he kills someone at the clinic.
I think he kills the nurse.
Okay.
And but
we didn't see that, did we?
I'm only saying that because I've looked up the orders of deaths in the Halloween, like, this movie. Because I know the nurse is on the death list.
All the police leave the Myers house because they think Michael's at the clinic. And when they get to the clinic, they do find a dead body.
I think it's the nurse.
It's got to be the nurse. So maybe Michael makes a pit stop at the clinic before he gets to the Myers house. But then he gets to the Myers house and it's just Loomis, Jamie, and that one chatty Cathy police officer.
And then we have Jamie's doing some like hardcore like hiding. Like, I don't know how she does it.
Okay,
You're going to stop me before I get to that part?
Yeah, because Michael gets to the house and he has a confrontation with Loomis. And Loomis is like very close to reaching Michael. He's like, she can take the rage away from you. And he gets very close to Michael. And then he's like, Michael, like, let me take you to her. Let me take you to her. And then he goes and reaches for Michael's knife. It looks like Michael's like going to lose grip of the knife, like he's letting down his guard. And then he like re-grips the knife and slashes Loomis. And it looks like Loomis is dead. Michael goes upstairs to where Jamie is. He breaks down the door. He kills the cop.
Yeah, which, you know, we saw that coming. what I really like about this sequence, and I hate, it's a very slow movie, but Jamie's doing some like really hardcore like upper body work. Like
she's hanging on to things.
She's hanging on to a laundry chute by like just holding on. That's like so difficult. It's surprising that it takes Michael to like almost like stab her for her to let go. Like I think I would be able to hang on for maybe a minute or so, and then I would just let go because I couldn't do it.
So there's this really long chase scene between Michael and Jamie where she's hiding in places, and then she makes her way up to the attic. In the attic, she finds there are lit candles.
The ambiance.
There was ambiance. It was Myers' ambiance.
And then she sees Rachel. She finds out Rachel's dead. She sees the dog.
I want to know who lit those candles, first of all, because...
It's Michael.
Well, he hadn't been there.
It's Man Black. He was getting the ambiance ready, maybe.
Maybe it was Man... I guess everything can just be Man in Black, because why not? He's a faceless, nameless character that's introduced... The writer didn't even know who he was.
But
just sure, Man in Black.
Jamie is upset because she sees Rachel and then she sees her dog, which I want to say this is
Mike. Mike is there.
This is the second like dog of Jamie's that Michael has killed. Like, leave her dog alone. And then we find out he's been taking everybody's body and he's been setting it up.
He does that. These are things that Michael does.
And then there's a coffin that he dug up, a 9-year-old kid's coffin. And it's there, and she kind of like hops
lays in it, like kind of maybe accepting of her fate. And Michael walks up to her, and she looks at him, and she says, "Uncle," and he stops. He goes, "Boogeyman," and he stops again. And then she goes, "Show me," and he takes off the mask. Again, we see a little glimpse of Michael's face, 80s handsome, and she goes, "You're just like me." And they zoom into Michael's eye, and he sheds one tear. He looked to the sky, and he cried one tear. He said, "God, I hope that you forgive me." And it's like another one of those moments where the writer was definitely trying to humanize Michael, or show that within the evil, there's still some semblance of humanity. It's not totally lost. And I don't know what game they were trying to play with that, because
at this point, like, Michael's been a killing machine.
It's a cool scene, I think. It's nice to see Michael like does have some humanity in him, and he can let his guard down, and he can kind of break through the rage or the evil that's consumed him. But I don't know, does that kind of defeat the purpose of what Michael was intended to be originally? Like, he was just intended to be like a force of nature.
Yeah. I mean, I think if there was any reason to have a breakthrough moment, it would be with the niece, though.
Yeah. And they try to do that in a couple of different movies, and we'll get there later on with H2O and Resurrection.
The bond of blood, or whatever.
Rob Zombie's Halloween 2's catchline, family is forever. Halloween 2, Too Fast, Too Furious. Family is forever. So Michael takes off the mask, no burns, 80s handsome. And then she kind of reaches for the mask, and he freaks out, and he puts it back on, and he goes right back after her.
Yeah. I'm gonna murder you, he says.
Loomis takes Jamie as bait, which is kind of an interesting move. It shows the desperation of Loomis a little bit, that he would almost try to sacrifice this little girl or take her as bait in order to stop Michael once and for all. But then, Brie, do you remember what happens? He's thinking.
I didn't write it down. I never write down.
You didn't write down any of the climax?
No, I said I never do.
Right,
That's my toxic trait.
I got you. Loomis is talking. He's like, "Michael, come and get her. I've got her." And then he nets Michael.
Oh yeah, he does. He gets the net.
There's a net set up, a metal net, and he nets Michael. And then he starts like a freaking madman, starts beating him with a 2x4. And he beats Michael so bad with a 2x4. Oh no, he starts tranking him too. Yeah, I forgot about that.
And what did I say? I said
Rhino tranquilizer.
I was like, I always told you, you gotta hit him with like the elephant tranquilizers.
He shoots like many darts into this guy.
I think I counted at least 2.
And then starts beating the crap out of him with a 2x4. And then Loomis, I don't know what happened. Like, Loomis did get stabbed, but maybe out of exhaustion, he like dies. It seems like he dies, and he collapses on top of Michael, but it's a weird collapse on Michael where Michael is laying like on his back, and then Loomis falls. Like, Michael and Loomis are nose to nose.
And you said,
I said, now kiss. It's like, what's he gonna fucking give him a kiss?
now kiss.
So, I don't know. Loomis is maybe dead. That's where I think this movie was supposed to be going. But we cut to Michael in jail. The police have taken him into custody. And then we get this like weird shot of Michael sitting on the stoop of the jail, like in his jail cell, sitting on the bench.
Kind of bent over,
fidgeting with his chains that are on him. But I'm like, dude, he's still wearing the mask. Like,
also, okay, so at this point, like, Jamie's out in a cop car, right? And then they leave it because they leave him in the jail. They're like, oh, you're good now. We're gonna take you.
I just don't know why they would let him keep the mask.
Also, I don't understand.
He's a serial killer.
Also, he is proven to be way stronger, and you are underestimating putting him in this rinky-dink town jail.
But then before Jamie gets into the police car, the cop says he's just gonna stay there forever. Like, he's not going anywhere. He's gonna stay there forever. And I think that would have been like a cool moment to end the movie on. But then,
like, all of a sudden it turns like kind of like red, and there's like a commotion going on.
Booms and bangs.
He booms and bangs, and the cop looks at her and he says like, I'm gonna go check out. And I'm like, no, you should have driven away with the kid that he's after.
Yeah.
Like, he's after her, you freaking buffoon. They go in, and Michael has done it again.
You see a silhouette of the man in black shooting a shotgun, and then Jamie walks in. Michael's gone. Everybody's gone. Man in black has broken Michael out of prison, and Jamie starts saying, no, no, no. And then the movie ends, and we're left with that cliffhanger.
No, no, no.
So, overall, what did you think, Brie?
I mean, it's not a bad movie.
You don't think so?
I mean, for what it was a slow movie.
Which one as of right now, which one do you think is the worst in the franchise?
This one.
Yeah, I would agree.
It does worse than the funny movie with the lasers.
I thought that was good. I think Halloween 3 is a good movie.
I mean, I'm not going to write home about it. But I ask you this, does it make it on your list, Anthony, of top 100?
No. Absolutely not.
It's so boring.
I had a lot of issue with the direction of this movie. I don't like the telepathy. I don't like the supernatural BS of it all. I don't like how the writer tried to justify at every turn. It seems like in interviews he tried to justify at every turn why he made some of the poor choices that were made in the movie.
Just say you're bad and move on.
Just say you didn't understand the characters. You didn't understand, and we'll get to somebody who did not understand the characters
later on. We're looking at you, Rob Zombie.
Yeah, we're looking at Rob Zombie. Even though I do like Rob Zombie, I don't think he understood the characters. A lot of this movie puts a bad taste in my mouth. It's not that it wasn't like a fun movie. It had some interesting parts.
We had fun watching it, but I always enjoy watching movies with you.
Yeah, I think as a Halloween sequel, I think Donald Pleasance was very accurate in how he talked about the director. He doesn't understand that he's making a fifth entry into a film franchise. He's not making his own movie here. Mm-hmm. You have to deal with the characters as they're given, right? and move on from there.
If you wanted Loomis acted totally appropriately for where that character
What did you think about the lack of follow-up to the cliffhanger of the last movie? Did you feel like that was appropriate, or do you think that they should have followed up on it more?
They kind of always, like, they always do, like, the 1 year later on Halloween kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So I didn't care about it much.
Yeah, I wish they would have followed up on it. I think our pitch for Halloween 5, either one,
I think mine's better.
I prefer my Breakfast Club-esque pitch, but, you know, I digress. Martin Scorsese, direct my movie. I will have a 30-page draft story outline written for you on your request.
Anyone can pitch to me to direct my movie, but I only have one request.
What's that?
That I get to be in it.
You want to be Jamie?
No, I want to kind of have like a Stan Lee kind of role where I'm just like pop in.
You walk in and you say, anyone can be behind the mask.
Yeah, something like just like totally obvious or just like ominous.
Cool. Does this make your list?
No.
Nah, it's a prestigious list.
It's trying so much to like even touch it, but
yeah, no. Does this get an honorable mention? No, me neither.
It gets one.
I think it.
Oh, brother.
So we've got one movie. We've got one movie on our list of the top 100.
And then each of us have a top, like an honorable mention.
Well,
or a shout out.
Yeah. Well, we'll I don't know our list right now because we are filming these out of order, but we'll update our list fairly soon.
Yeah.
Fairly soon.
And we're gonna we are going to then when we finish this podcast, we are going right into some movie watching. We're
moving into Halloween 6.
So buckle up, buckos.
Buckle up, buckaroos. Great. So I guess that will wrap it up for us. We got our little Bree's treat here. We will leave you on that. If you would like to reach out to us, you can always email our Gmail account with any movie suggestions, recommendations. Tell us if you made Bree's treats. Tell us any stories you want us to read on the pod. You can reach us at reviewpodcast1@gmail.com. You can always follow us on any of our socials for bonus content.
Our Instagram for you is review_pod. If you want to find us on there.
If you want to follow me on Twitter, I am at GLDTV1. And you can always, if you're not watching on our YouTube, you can always subscribe to us on the YouTube for video podcasts. We are Review Podcast on YouTube. I think that's it. Is there anything else you want to leave our peoples with?
Keep on the lookout for some more Jurassic Park content.
Yes, Jurassic Park content coming soon.
Some more content coming soon.
Some more content.
Okay, so I am Brianna.
And I am Anthony.
And this has been the Review Podcast.
Review Podcast.
Review Podcast. Review Podcast.